Welcome back to Men's Health Dialogue. I'm your host, Ivan Sapon, the coordinator for the program. As we began the series of Dr. Charles Odame-Ankrah last week, today is the second edition or the second series for the topics that we are treating with him. Today's topic is marriage dynamics among immigrants. So before we delve into this issue, we would like to go for a short commercial break.
Hello everyone, this is Benedicta Odame-Ankrah, the CEO of Benedicta's Beauty Lab. I have with me here our Diamond Shea Butter Cream, which is well formulated to fight dandruff and hair loss condition. Please go to our website as you see the link below. Order yours. You can also call us on the number below and you can order yours. We also have one formulated for hand as well. Check all of them out at bbelabs.com.
So welcome back to the interview section, and we are here with Dr. Odame-Ankrah. Let me tell you again. So I'll go back to him to tell us more about his background and introduction of himself. So thank you, Doctor, very much for the last time, for the first interview with us.
Thank you, Ivan.
Would you like to also give us a little about yourself again?
Hi, viewers. If you're watching this program, my name is Charles Odame-Ankrah, and I currently live in Calgary, Alberta, and did my undergraduate education at University of Cape Coast, where I graduated and moved on to the US to read a master's program, came to Canada to read my PhD program. I'm currently working as a scientist in charge of air quality, designing instruments based on lasers to monitor the air we breathe. And hopefully one day try to get those instruments to go to Ghana to do emissions monitoring to help us better understand the air we breathe and how climate around us is changing. Thank you for having me once more.
You're welcome. I hope it's not only for Ghana. I believe Nigeria, Ethiopia, Kenya,
all over the world.
All over the world, everybody needs it. So wait for yours. And we come back to the studio for our next topic. Today we are with you for marriage dynamics among immigrants. And we are very much thankful because you are the president for Ghana Association in Calgary. So you have a lot to tell us. So my first question to you is, what is marriage?
Thank you very much, Ivan. This is a loaded question. What is marriage? In the 21st century, it's changed. Marriage has changed from comprehensive cultural practices where a family hands over a male or female to another family's male or female, and they come together and they become one family. And the expectation is that they will continue procreating to replace the human race. So then, with the introduction of Western culture, we added another layer to the traditional marriages, where we just perform our traditional marriages and the families agree, and that's it. Now we have, we have two layers added. With the introduction of religion, we added one. And then with the introduction of Western culture, we added another one. So now we have three layers of marriage, where we do the traditional marriages at home. Now in Ghana we call it engagement, but that was never a thing. That was marriage. We used to have what is called kokoko. That is the knocking, where the man's family goes to the woman's family to seek her hand in marriage as a sign of respect back home. Okay. Then a date is set for the traditional marriage, and after that it was done. Nothing more, nothing less. With the introduction of religion, we found a way to include religious components into our marriages now. And then with the introduction of Western culture, we now include what we now call white wedding. So now marriage to me has evolved to become something that is very alien in terms of practices to us. And our great-great-grandparents never wore any white dresses, and they were married, and they lived happily ever after. But now, when you ask me what marriage is, I'll say it's a blend. It's a blend of cultures, and even now, when you see most women marrying in Ghana, they dress to look more Nigerian than Ghanaian culturally. So we keep importing and adding loads and loads and loads of layers. So even the men are what we wear, even changing. So yes, innovation is good. Marriage is evolving. So when you ask me what marriage is, I would say it's just one celebration. This is a celebration of our culture and other foreign cultures in uniting two people to continue as husband and wife, and the expectation is procreation. Of course, that's always not the case.
Okay, so I want to get this clear. You said there are more layers to marriage now.
Yes.
Looking at marriage and these layers added to it.
Yes.
Is it not scary, guys?
It is. And see, in my previous interview, I talked about the pressure that is put on us. You need to be financially stable to be able to undertake this massive grandeur of a ceremony. So, as a young man, in those days, our grandfathers would tell you they got married at the age of 22. Their fathers will find a wife for them, they will get married at 22. Now, we have to get married at age 40. That is even when we are lucky. Because between that 22, you are in the university, you have to work and save money. Okay? The wedding alone can take away all your life savings. And you now start life from scratch. Zero. So that is one of the pressures that society, or the burden society has put on men. And our young men, I feel sorry for them. I hear that if we think Ghana's problem is difficult, go to other African countries. You will run away. You have to buy cows and do so many things in order to marry another person who you are planning to live with and raise a family with. So some women have even questioned why this grandeur expenditure whilst we are going to start life as young people. Others do it to also show off. Others do it to send a signal for family status. That this is the family. We have money. But what it is losing the essence of what is happening. The marriage, the journey of these two people to live together is going beyond that. And this puts a lot of pressure. We've seen most women when they are proposed to and said they're going to get married. Some of them will go on dieting and lose weight drastically so they can fit into their wedding dress and look absolutely beautiful. It is gorgeous. It's amazing what you do. But when we look back on the things that we have imported and imposed on ourselves, it is destroying the young men. Most men have decided not to get married. Those who even decide to get married and perform only the traditional marriages, their wives are expecting them that one day they will perform a white marriage because they don't see themselves married. Those who will do the traditional marriage without bringing a pastor to come and pray, they don't see themselves married. Those who will do the traditional marriage without sitting at the back of a horse and run across the field, another foreign culture, they don't see themselves married. But this is not our culture. What we call engagement now is our marriage. It's marriage. When you perform that engagement ceremony and they agree, that is it. She is your wife. Period. There is nothing that prevents you from taking that woman as your wife. But we have added layers. It must go to the church. It must go to through that white wedding as well. So this is just in terms of activities. Then there's the legal component. Luckily for us, the legal component hasn't changed. This is the same. You marry, go to court, you sign the documents, or you do it at home. You do it at home. So that has not changed that much. But when it comes to the activities that goes into marriage, oh boy, you're right. It's putting a lot of pressure on young men, and my heart breaks for them.
That is serious. Well, I have an experience with other friends, so I know where I'm speaking from. So that will, I have a lot of questions with whatever you said, but I'll just hold on to those questions. Now I'll come back to what you said, that it's very necessary to also get married and to have family and so on. So why did you decide to marry?
Well, first and foremost, I was born and male. And when you're born and male, society has, as I said in my previous sentence, society has set of rules for you. And one of the rules is that you have to be a family man. And being a family man, you need to find a woman, marry a woman, and raise a family to ensure that your generation, you have generations after you. Okay. So, and also, you cannot, if you have having children outside with another woman you are not married to, is frowned upon in society now. So if you have a child with a woman, no matter how much you love that woman and you are not married to the woman, they are funny names for them. I mean, some of them call them now baby mamas and a whole lot of funny names. So as a man, you want to build your reputation in society, you need to get married. So you go and you get married. And you look for someone you love, someone you can live with, and you marry that person. So if you ask them why I got married, yes, because I wanted to get married, but I wanted to get married because of what society has said it should be. Because when you leave people on their own and ask them if they want to get married, if I'm coming from a different culture, marriage is not a thing. Why should I? And I have seen that happening now in Canada. People don't see the reason why they should get married. They live in the same house, they do everything together. They do everything, they have children, but they are not married. They call themselves partners. Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
If I do that back home, it will be frowned upon. Religiously, it will be frowned upon. But if you look at it, it's the same thing happened, living under the same roof. So society, marriage is something that is prescribed by society.
Okay, so I have I'll do a follow-up question here. So what did you see in Sister Benedicta that's attracted you to go in for?
So initially, when you see somebody, of course, the person's appearance and beauty will be the first point of attraction. That will attract you to the person. And then you start developing from there as to whether that person has things that you believe, you believe are compatible with your ideals. Okay. And usually men, when you meet a woman that you think has 30 to 40% of compatibility in terms of how she behaves, how she reacts, and listen, you are likely to marry that person. 30 to 40%. That's my threshold. Because we have so much differences, so much cultural background, so much. But when you meet somebody, you meet the person first to be the attraction. The person must cause your heart to beat a bit faster than normal.
So Sister Benedicta cause your heart.
So you have to, yeah, of course. Okay. Yeah, then you have to look at, can you go beyond, can you take a step beyond that? Would this be somebody who will be willing to stay with you, willing to understand you, willing to work with you? And those are small components. There are bigger issues that you don't get to see until you marry the person.
But what attracted you?
I think her beauty. Yeah, it's a complete package.
Oh, complete package.
Yeah, it was a package. When you have a checklist, you're able to check it.
Okay, that brings me back to the second question that I have to ask. What goes into marriage?
That's a big question. What goes into marriage? See, let me take it back a bit. We are all told to get married. Okay? Mm-hmm. We are never told how to marry. Nobody tells us how to marry. We are told how to get married, period. Save money, buy the things that the family has required of you. Make sure you have your own place. Move in. That is your wife. Done. But how to remain in that marriage, how to marry that woman, nobody tells us. So we go in with our own expectations, our own upbringings, our own societal influences into that marriage. And sometimes it can be hit and miss and very dangerous. So when you ask what goes into marriage, what goes into marriage is a lot. Let me take you another further back. 180, 90 years ago. How did our brothers, our parents, our grandparents get married? There's a specific person in the community who looks around. You say, I've seen this girl. I think I want to marry this girl. Family will send other families to travel to that town. When they go, they will make investigations about that family. They will come up with a report. And the report will include whether there is any known ailment within that family. Theft was a big thing. They will ensure that there is no history of stealing in that family. All the social vices, they want to check that off. Then they'll say, well, clear, check. I think our son can marry into that family. And it is done both ways. The woman's family will also come around. But now all those things are gone. And another powerful thing, Evans, if you ask what goes into the marriage, was our parents. See, when you give birth to a child, as a parent, I have kids, and I now understand it. You see the child grow, and you will start seeing some uniqueness about that child, their behavior, their temperament, their tolerance, their anger, their joy, their mood swings. A parent knows it all. So a parent can look at their child and say, I know the type of woman that my son can marry. And trust me, most of the time they are right. So in those days, our parents recommended women for us to marry. And most of the time they were right. Although in the beginning you will not feel like this is a woman I want to marry. But those who listened to their parents and went in never looked back. Some were very successful. Of course, every scheme has its failures, its weak points. Some were not successful. But we saw the rate at which divorces were almost unknown at the time because of what went into the marriage before the marriage became marriage. So preparation before marriage plays a significant role in how the marriage is sustained.
So how should we prepare?
Right now, we don't even allow our parents to get involved. We don't even allow the people who know us to get involved. We have dating sites. Of course, the world has changed as well. It's not the same as it used to be when we were in the village. Everybody knew somebody. Now we meet people on Facebook and they get married. As to the behavior of that person, and all we see is this beautiful picture of this person in a suit and tie, looking all handsome and dandy, with that beautiful woman. Look, I'm going to marry her. Only for you to wake up one morning and realize that she has only one of the characteristics you're looking at on your checklist. And regret will start setting in. Because makeup will let somebody look entirely different from how they appear. Because remember what I said, fundamentally, the person must be attractive to you.
Yeah.
That's fundamental. So, have you seen the person beyond the makeup and the wig? Have they taken off their wig and you didn't run away the next morning? Then you know that person. But these are realities that I'm talking about. Some people just see the outward appearance. Church is another problem when it comes to preparing for marriage. But some people marry because their pastors ask them to marry the girl or the boy. As to whether this boy is okay, he's emotionally unstable, he's caring. None of that matters. All that the pastor says that I've had a revelation from God. I'm not saying those things are not there. But I'm saying it has been a big problem of late. The pastors have taken away the power of the parents. So they tell them, I have a revelation. And this girl, go and marry her. They go and marry. And nothing but trouble. Because the checklist that they personally have, they didn't even have time to go through that checklist to ensure that this woman faced those checklists. So fundamentally, when you go home, you realize that. So what goes into the marriage is the preparation before the marriage. Because you need to know the person. And usually casual dating, going out in the evening, you will never know the sort of person. Okay? Because we all put on our best fake appearances during those days. Just to impress you. We are there to woo you. You know, I have a friend who said, have you ever seen Muhammad campaigning after an election? When you win an election, you don't go and campaign again. To defend himself from being an inactive husband. And we laughed about it, but that is serious. Because, yes, marriage is not a campaign to win. Marriage is a lifetime commitment. And you need to know the person. You need to know. So what goes into the marriage is knowing that person.
Okay. Knowing that person. So what goes into successful marriage then?
On top of my list is knowing that person. Like, first, be attracted to the person, knowing the person. And then going into the marriage with an open mind. Okay?
Okay.
No expectations. Because if you go into a marriage with an expectation, you'll be so disappointed. Because you don't know what the person is bringing. Go into a marriage with an open mind. Let me give you an example. When people are going to adopt a pet, do they adopt that pet with an expectation? No. They bring that pet home and they learn to love that pet, and that pet learns to love them as their owner. Maybe if we have a little bit of that expectation of adopting a pet into our marriages, you will then marry somebody with an expectation that we are going to work together for a common goal. But when you go into marriage with an expectation that you are marrying an angel, with an expectation that you are marrying a handsome man, with an expectation that you are marrying a caring man, you will be hugely disappointed. Hugely disappointed. Go with an open mind and nurture the goodness in each other to grow. And you realize that you will all be able to have open conversations. Because then you can tell somebody, oh, the way you spoke to me yesterday, I didn't like it. And the person will say, I'm sorry. Because that person has no expectations. That person knows that I am here, vulnerable. I am here as somebody who does not know my left from my right, but I'm here to learn, for us to learn together. Another thing is respect. Somebody you have decided to sleep with and spend your life with, you need to respect the person. No matter how angry you are, no matter how much you have regretted, there should be respect. Both ways. The woman must respect the man. The man must respect the woman in the marriage.
From what you just said, the late man Fredopon Absalom said something to me that the greatest gift you can give it to your wife or your woman is respect.
Yes.
That is my dad. I have an anonymous person giving me this message, and I would like to read it. As the society redefines women's roles, how is it affecting men's roles in marriage?
You see, society is changing and evolving. The nature of jobs are changing. Now there are families where the woman earns more, much more than the man. Okay? And vice versa. When it comes to Ghana, it's the same. Things are changing. So, no family is the same. No marriage is the same. The two should be able to sit down and have an open dialogue and say, hey, this is our family. This is our circumstance. So, because this is our circumstance, how do we work together as a team? So that when you come to my house and you come and meet me washing dishes, you don't go to your house expecting your husband, who is working in Fort Mac many hours to come and wash dishes. It doesn't work that way. Every family is different. So if you go or listen to your friends on what is working for them, and you decide to take that home and apply it to your marriage, you'll be very miserable. But unfortunately, that is what happens. Men, we do so. Women, we do so. For example, I'm talking to my male friends and tell them, every evening when I get home, my wife serves me and brings me water. Then she'll put hot water down and rub my feet for me. Okay? This man talking is a bus driver. He said now all day, he's worked 16 hours. He's come home. The wife has decided to pamper him with that and serve him. She recognizes it. And this woman, the mom is a homemaker. She's a home helper. So when raising the children. So she realizes the need to, help the other person. Mental health of the man.
Yeah.
To help, to extend that olive branch as a sign of respect. So if I should go back to, and I work only 8 hours, okay? I come home, my wife also goes to work 8 hours, comes home, the children are in daycare, they come home, and I come home, and because my friend has told me that the wife does this, I expect my wife to do the same thing for me. I am being unreasonable. I am being unrealistic. I don't like comparing marriages. Every marriage is unique. Circumstances are unique. What I believe that marriages must do is to come up with a system that works for them. What works for you will not work for me. It's good to listen to what works for other people. Pick what you want, modernize it, change it, turn it around and see how that can help you. But don't import what others do to help successful marriages. Another recipe for a successful marriage is to be able to insulate your marriage from external influences.
Mhm.
Because the external factors do not understand how the two of you are getting by. So you should not give them any opportunity whatsoever to influence your marriage, because that can damage your marriage. That can bring so much tension in the marriage that you will never have peace. So, we're talking about external factors. Okay, let's break that down into about what I mean by external factors. Okay, the closest external factor is the parents of their couples.
Mhm.
That's the closest, followed by siblings. Okay, siblings, and then and then friends, and then church, and then society. Okay, and then above that, others comes in work. So all these layers should not be allowed to influence the marriage in any way. What is interesting to know is that the people who like influencing other people's marriage, they don't want anybody to come into their marriage. You know why? Because they know that it is detrimental to listen to somebody and apply those things to your marriage. Okay? So for example, you came into the marriage with an expectation of amassing wealth. If that is not forthcoming, you'll be frustrated. See the point?
Yeah.
If you come into the marriage of building a family, you have more tolerance, more respect, and you will stay. If you came into the marriage expecting your wife to be a servant, not a wife, a servant, you are marrying because you are marrying another person to come and serve you, you will be disappointed. You don't marry for that person to come and serve you. You marry as partnership, to help each other, to be there for each other, not just you. And with this, I mean either the man or the woman. Because as a woman, it's all about them in the marriage. The man does not care. She does not care about the man. As a man, it's all about him. His ego, his whatever. He does not care even about the woman. Okay? It shouldn't be that. There should be empathy. There should be common sense in a home. There should be respect among these couples. Because look, Evans, you said this. Look, women have their own unique ways of bringing a family together. We can never take that from them. Men have all their own unique ways of bringing a family together. When these two come together, it becomes a beautiful union. We should not try to exchange that authority at home. That authority must be there. A woman's authority as a mother must remain sovereign. A man's authority as a father must remain sovereign. The two must find a way of working in a collaborative way to respect each other. So even when the children are growing up, they will see how these two people treat each other. Let me give you, do you know that most men have grown up to beat their wives because they saw it growing up in their homes? So they thought it was normal. So whatever you do, you can transfer it into your generation. You are not marrying a servant, somebody to come and serve you. It's wrong. Religion kind of sometimes even emboldens that perspective. That is what they are told. Okay? And yes, if you take that literally, the man is expecting, say, no, Christ the kind. Love your wife as Christ loved the church, and Christ loved the church through showing practical leadership. Practical. It is 7 that's what you're yare. That's a own your to me, and that's what we are, and you pay. So, Kuyare, not your feel, oh, yeah, and you pay.
Okay. So that brings me to a question that people really want to know.
Yes.
What is the role of a man at home or in the family setting or in the marriage?
The role of a man is not something I would say is defined, but it is something that is expected from both sides based on what community has said it should be. That as a man, you provide for the family, you raise the kids, you advise, you protect your wife. At the same way, a woman's role has been defined. Traditionally, she cooks for the family, and that's the home chores. As I say, that has changed. It's changed. It's no more the case. Okay? Now, the role of men at home is more dynamic. By dynamic, I mean, what can we do to help each other to build this home together? Because we are all struggling and working together. So what can we do together? It's a conversation that has to be had. I don't cook in my home because my wife loves to cook. If it was the reverse, if I loved to cook and she didn't know how to cook, there would be nothing wrong if I cook. You know what I mean? That is dynamic. I don't want to say the role of a man at home is set. When it comes to the positioning of each person in the marriage, okay, the husband must remain the husband. The wife must remain the wife. What I mean by that is, in that partnership, okay, it's like having an executive director, a manager, secretary. They have very defined ways of treating each other. That must exist. We can never be the same. We act differently. We behave differently. A man can never be a woman, and a woman can never be a man. It's a fact. Nature has bestowed some qualities in us. We cannot switch that. So don't expect your husband to become who he is not. If you go and marry a man who does not know how to cook, don't Don't come and force him to start cooking. And that is something he's not used to. These are the things that you should know before you get married. My husband does not know how to cook. Do you want him? But that does not mean that the man should also say, I don't know how to cook, so he will never learn or make the effort. Sometimes you don't know how to cook. What about just ordering food from outside? At night, taking your wife out to treat her to a nice place, taking your kids out. Because it's another way of contributing to the family. So when it comes to role, Evans, it's dynamic. We shouldn't be set in our minds that food is for the woman, kitchen is for the woman. It's changed. That is past and gone.